community television. And we're lucky enough today to be with Kyle Ricci, a local Reiki master, who's going to tell us more about Reiki, how it's practiced, its philosophy, how it works. And we're going to actually see Reiki practiced and implemented today. And I think that's going to be fairly unique. Maybe you've read about Reiki, maybe you've heard about Reiki. Today you're going to get to see Reiki. So Kyle, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me, John.
Yeah, Reiki has become fairly well known lately, but I still think it's a bit of a mystery for a lot of people. Kyle became interested in Reiki as a young man, very young, and has been practicing for almost 20 years. He is a practicing Reiki master at Cooley Dickinson Hospital and in the Cancer Treatment Center. And he also has his own practice at the center on State Street here in Northampton. Now, Kyle, Reiki is based on energy healing, and so are acupuncture, reflexology, and yoga. How does Reiki differ from other energy healing practices?
Well, that's an excellent question, and I feel like that also dovetails nicely into your initial goal here, which is demystifying the practice of Reiki. So the other modalities that you mentioned, acupuncture, yoga, reflexology, those are all energy-based modalities. And a lot of the mystery that comes from these types of modalities is a difference in thought, kind of the old East versus West. So really in Eastern cultures like China, India, Japan, and all throughout that part of Asia, there is a pronounced philosophy of energy as being a system that is deeply embedded within us and is a part of our everyday processes and the life that's all around us. So they, these people in these cultures, they have very cemented in their culture and their belief that energy is around us. It's a part of our everyday, it's part of our health. And so their systems are developed to work with that and treat that specifically. Reiki is different from other modalities in that in a practitioner, the transmission of energy, of the Reiki energy, Reiki means universal life force energy in Japanese. The transmission is not a transmission of a practitioner's personal energy that contributes to my health, my well-being. It's a transmission of broad spectrum, universal life force energy. Think of it as like the ambient energy of life processes that suffuses the spaces all around us. Acupuncture is a really good comparison because acupuncture seeks to treat the same energetic system in a person's body through the stimulation of that system via needles. In Reiki, there is no physical manipulation of the tissues, there's no needling that's done or cupping, and the transmission of energy is direct from the palms of the practitioner into the client or the energetic recipient. And this is also different from practices like yoga, which also seeks to utilize the same energy. In Japanese, ki is energy, in Chinese, chi is energy, and in Sanskrit and Hindu traditions, prana is the same energy force. So in yoga, they're working directly with prana, with the breath, to cultivate within a person individually to eliminate blockages that are there and accentuating that whole process with physical movements and postures that seek to create that energetic shift and change. With Reiki, there's no necessity for the client to move, to get engaged in that particular way. It's a fully receptive process, which I find is a lot easier for direct transmission and immediate benefit, being in a total state of receptivity versus engaging in an intellectual or active process such as a meditative practice or a physical regimen such as yoga or Tai Chi.
So that does demystify Reiki in a lot of ways in that it's actually easy for people to get involved in. You also mentioned that anybody can do Reiki. I think that's interesting. Anybody can get Reiki, anybody can do Reiki. Reiki is available to anybody. So that means that it's innate in us, it's a natural phenomenon.
Absolutely. So Reiki was developed as a system in 1922 by Dr. Mikao Usui in Japan. And he developed the system specifically to help people who were unable to receive quality medical care at the time, people who were unable to afford those kinds of treatments. And he really developed the system so that way it could be practiced by any layperson, essentially. Reiki, being Japanese in nature, is comparable to a martial form, like martial arts.
Okay.
And so typically you have dojos, you have specific, classes and schools that teach certain things. And coming from, his cultural experience, he wanted to make something available to everybody instead of the elite who could afford to, be part of a school like that. And so, Reiki is a very, very simple system, and he formatted it in a particular way to make it as simple as possible, so the more people who needed it could be able to receive it effectively. And the vast majority of his work was done providing free service to people in ghettos and slums in Japan specifically.
That might explain a little bit how Reiki is becoming so popular or so well known here in the Western world, that it is, people might not have heard of Reiki even a few years ago, and now it's everywhere that you go. A word that you use a lot with Reiki is homeostasis. You're trying to achieve homeostasis. What does that mean exactly?
So in Reiki, the main effect, if you wanted to say that Reiki has one particular effect, it achieves homeostasis. And homeostasis is the body's ability to be in a perfect, balanced state to achieve the natural healing process that we are capable of. For instance, I can get a cut on my arm, and I'm going to heal in that particular area with the exact same type of skin tissue that is naturally occurring there. I'm not going to grow an ear from that particular cut because of the nature of the body's ability to heal itself. When the body is able to achieve homeostasis, we're able to fully replicate our cells that are being destroyed or are growing too old. We're able to prevent mutation of any of those cells as well. It could produce things like cancer or other types of malignancy as well. And it's also really good for relaxing a person overall, because one of the biggest detractors of achieving that balanced homeostasis is stress and anxiety. And we've been having lots and lots of discussions in the past decade about the effects of stress on the body and psychosomatic disease, and how our mind and our emotions can really have quite an effect and a measurable effect on our physical systems as well. So Reiki is able to treat physically, mentally, and emotionally all issues that a person is going through to create the perfect stage for a healing event.
That goes to your philosophy of healing the whole person, and I would guess that is why it has fit in so naturally with Western hospitals, where you practice at Cooley Dickinson, that it is a complementary medicine, complementary treatment for people at the hospital. What does that mean exactly, complementary treatment in a hospital setting?
Well, complementary treatments or integrative treatments naturally, by the way that they're spoken about, indicate that they are working in perfect harmony with the standardized care that a person is actively receiving. For instance, there are no known contraindications for anybody to receive Reiki, and it does not interfere with any other medical practices. You can give somebody Reiki before an operation, during an operation, and afterwards, and it does not interfere with the ability of any other aspect of that medical team providing the treatment that's necessary for that person. It perfectly accentuates all of the other aspects of that treatment while minimizing side effects, complications, and helping a person really feel met on other levels. If you're going in for a surgery, not many people are asking you how you feel emotionally about that surgery, or how that anxiety is potentially weighing on you for your recovery period afterwards. So treatments like Reiki and other energy therapies are able to come in and be able to hold that person in the full capacity of what they need for their healing and their best outcome.
Well, Kyle, I think you've covered most of the bases about Reiki, how it works. Now you're going to show us how it works. And that's going to be something that only NCTV can do. Okay, we're here today with Kyle Ricci and his energy recipient, Fadia Nordenvitz, who is a teacher, professor at Hampshire College. And she's been kind enough to tell us, she's going to be kind enough to tell us about her experience with Reiki, with Kyle, and her thoughts on Reiki before we get started on the actual demonstration. How long have you been doing Reiki?
I would say regularly for 7 years or so.
Oh, wow, that's a long time.
But, and I'm also Reiki certified myself. So I'm a level 1 practitioner. And, but I've been doing it sporadically before that for about 15 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your experience with receiving Reiki? What do you look for? What are you trying to achieve? I'm assuming that you aren't sick, that you're fairly healthy already. What are you looking to achieve with Reiki in that situation?
So a few different things. One of them is I mean, this is sort of like an inside joke. I find Reiki to be the lazy person's cleanup system. So you don't have to do the work yourself. You trust a practitioner you connect with, and that part is, I think, very, very important. Finding a practitioner that you really can let go and who speaks to you and who allows you to speak, and just you can let go and they can figure out what they feel is right. I really believe in that, to give the dignity to the practitioner who's actually doing the work with you and for you. And I think Kyle's really good at that. And also, I feel that for me, I go to him with an issue and he steps in and he does what he needs to and what he thinks would alleviate the situation. And then he works his magic. And the thing that I wanted to emphasize is that, and which you brought up in your question, is that you don't necessarily have to be going through something in Reiki or really in other modalities where you're trying to feel better. You can be in a space of good and you just want to feel better, grow as a person, you can be in a good space in your life where you feel like, oh, I have some time to look back and work on something that I haven't worked on before. So Reiki is a really good tool like that.
Reiki is just a very positive energy in general,
Yeah.
and
And
it does recharge
too.
you. It recharges you.
And
Yeah.
it's very powerful. I think it's more than positive energy. I think it's a good way of, the way I look at Reiki is it's also not only an infusion of positive energy, but it's such a good cleaner and an addition of positive energy. So like, it's not like that detox that after you're done, you're left hungry. You're nourished with positive energy and you get rid of what didn't serve you anymore.
That's a really nice summation. Well, I also like how you say that you find the right practitioner. I found that to be true myself.
I don't go to any practitioner for anything unless I find that trust with them.
Absolutely, and it's also a question of personality and personal vibe, whatever you want to call it, that you hit it off with somebody, because everybody has their own method of practicing Reiki. I think there's something like 200 different kinds of Reiki. I'm not really sure about that. Kyle can tell us more. One of the things I also like about Kyle in his practice is there's so much more added to it in terms of his knowledge of other modalities, that word, whether it's herbology or crystals or other traditions, healing traditions that he knows as well as he knows Reiki. So you're really getting a full spectrum treatment.
Yeah, and I think being, even though I don't practice for money when it comes to my different alternative health trainings, but for me that's what makes his knowledge and his specialty so compelling. Because I think it is one of our responsibilities as practitioners of whichever field to know beyond what we practice. Because that's what adds to our practice and our expertise and gives us the breadth of knowledge, and it allows us to know the different ways of innovating, of adding. That's how we develop our own versions of something, right?
Yeah.
When we have a good knowledge base that is much beyond what we are officially claiming ourselves to be. So I think that's what makes Kyle so strong as a candidate, and which allowed him to, he learned Reiki from the age of 7, and he's so young, and he's wise beyond his years, and people shouldn't, just because he's in his 20s doesn't mean he should come across as being less accomplished, because people may find that intimidating, because his level of expertise of his craft is somebody that I would normally assign to a person who has had many more years of living.
Well, one thing that we have discussed in other meetings with Kyle is that he's been able to maintain that young imagination, that young creativity. So being young isn't a drawback. You know, you don't need to be old to be able to practice.
But a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, no, you're
About
right.
not taking, because a lot
Well,
of
then
people.
I'll be great. I'll be a great Reiki practitioner. I'll be ready to go.
No, but you know, it's like, and I find that remarkable, because essentially, when you find your passion at 7, you go for it. And what's there not to love about that?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. People can be jealous.
Well,
That's it.
We've spoken so highly of Kyle. Let's see Kyle in practice and see Reiki in practice. I think this is going to be a real treat for everybody.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for joining me today, and so we're going to do some Reiki together. What would you like to work on today?
I'd like to work on the residual daily stress and anger issues and irritation issues that come up with life, and just helping me to feel light and being in control of irritability and anger by allowing me to release all of those emotions and my grips over them, so that I can learn to breathe a little, think about it before I get angry.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Do you feel like any of those heavier emotions and experiences reside in any particular places within your body?
Well, I will say that they definitely impact my belly, meaning just it feels like it's stored somewhere there, and of course it's taxing to my heart. So these are the, you know, sometimes you have residual migraines or feeling like you have a headache in the third eye when that happens. But other than that, yeah.
Okay. Have you been experiencing any other physical discomfort that you would associate with this?
No, it's just I noticed that I just feel generally tight in my belly as a result of it, and I would like to not feel that way.
Yeah, kind of just a tension holding
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
there. Okay. Are there any areas of your body that are sensitive to touch, or that you prefer I work off body?
Nope. You can do as needed. I trust you as a practitioner, and you do what you need to do in order to get the work done.
Wonderful. Thank you for your trust.
Yeah.
So as part of the beginning of a treatment, it is very important to do intention setting with your recipient as well, because Reiki is not something that is done to a person. It is actually something that is done with the recipient. It's a dialogue that's happening. The energy that I'm bringing to the table for the treatment is actually meeting the energy that Fadia is experiencing and working with in her life. And so we're working together to create that harmony between those two different factions, so to speak. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So to begin a treatment, I ground and center myself. And what that means is that I am able to clear my mind and really focus and hone my intention, as well as gathering my energy. So that way my personal energy is kept contained and will not become a part of the actual treatment process. As I had said before, Reiki is unique from other forms of energy medicine in that it does not utilize the energy of the practitioner themselves. It is broad spectrum, ambient life force energy that is being channeled through and transmitted to produce the effect. I'll begin the treatment with a biosyn scan. And biosyn is a term that means disease line. So I'm actually utilizing the energy that's in my palms to see and check how the energy within Fadia's energetic system is presenting. Different practitioners have different experiences as to how they pick up the energy. Some people will feel sensations in their hand. Some people will see or will have a sense, like an intuitive knowing, as to what areas need to be worked on and how. For myself, I rely pretty much on tactile information and sensations as I scan her energetic system. So one thing that I'm picking up on Fadia is that there's a little bit of stagnation in the liver meridian. Meridian is a pathway or like a circuit for energy to move and work in your body. It's part of your energetic anatomy. It's definitely a little bit of liver stagnation. There's also some mild depletion that I'm feeling with your kidneys too, which I think is contributing to some of that fatigue and that tightness, and also drawing on your heart in that capacity to have your heart help you feel settled. Did you eat anything before you went to church?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. So there's a little bit of false fire in the stomach as well because her body's trying to digest something that's not there. It's a deviation of the routine and rhythm of the body. Probably also contributing to some of that tension that's there as well. And there's some flux of energy in your triple warmer as well, which governs how that energy is actually cycling and circulating through your system. So it just feels like it's been taxed a little bit more, like you've just really been pushing yourself. And that can be contributing to the migraines and tension headaches that you were experiencing. Well, I'm going to start at your legs and work my way up. If there's anything that comes up for you during the course of the treatment, feel free to share that with me and let me know. It's not going to interrupt me in my process. It'll only help me work more effectively for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now, Kyle, you've mentioned before that the hands are vital to your treatment, but the energy comes in elsewhere, and it really is your whole body that is doing the treatment, not just the hands.
That's correct. So the nature of Reiki is that it enters through the top of the head, travels down the spine to reach the base before coming up, and bifurcating in the chest to then travel down the arms. So my entire body actually is suffused with energy before it actually makes it to Fadia's system. One thing that's really great to know is that in Reiki, the practitioner actually receives a treatment themselves as they are giving a treatment. And so the hands are the primary emitting location of the energy, but the energy can also be easily transmitted via the eyes or breath, as well as the feet.
You have mentioned that you use your whole body in your treatment and that your eyes are a key component of it.
Absolutely. Even just think about how you can, completely change a person's state based upon how you look at them. We definitely know that when somebody gives us a dirty look or, screw face, that it changes our emotional, perception as to what's going on, and we experience a change in our state. I like to practice gazing with compassion and feeling that I'm just, every time I look at a particular area of the body, or if I look directly at the recipient, that I'm holding them in the vision of their perfect health experience, that they're able to achieve the entirety of the healing that we set as an intention at the beginning. So oftentimes during treatment, even if my client's eyes are closed, I will just gaze very peacefully at them and reaffirm the intentions that we have set. So that way I'm able to actually visualize and see the vision of what we're having to accomplish be made manifest. And for me, when I practice, which is a little bit different from some other practitioners, is I like to use an anchor hand, a hand that is kept on the body almost at all times to allow the client to know where I'm working in relationship to their body. But I also combine that with off-body techniques as well to help really move and circulate the energy. Static positions are really good for filling fresh energy into a system that's depleted or blocked. But I find that instead of just adding energy or removing energy, the circulation and the movement of energy is what produces some of the best effects for a person.
Fadia, not to interrupt you in your treatment, but can you tell us of what you are experiencing as Kyle is moving his hands on you?
As Kyle is moving his hands, I'm getting more and more into a space of detachment from what I came into the room with as he checked in with me before, that what are the things I want him to work on. And it's getting more and more distant and more into a space of safety and, getting to be relaxed inside of myself and laying back, and the constrictions that I was feeling in my chest and in my belly, and overall that's melting away. And I can also feel the subtle movements because my eyes are mostly closed, but I can chart where his hands are going even when he's not touching me. So I can pick up on, I'm sensitive to his energy and the pathways he's creating with his hands.
Thank you so much. We won't interrupt again.
When working on a client or a patient, there are kind of three main stages of the treatment process. So initially there's the removal of blockages within that particular energetic system, and also then the second piece, which is either filling in depleted areas with fresh energy or removing excessive energy. And the final piece is an overall circulation of that energy, kind of like priming the pump in a way, so that way her system is working and cycling in its appropriate response and manner. And all stages of these are worked with utilizing specific techniques that help to focus your intention and the way in which you emit the energy, as well as utilizing your intention specifically to change the vibration of the energy for that intended effect.
I really feel that.
How are you experiencing that?
I don't know how to explain it, but it's just I can feel the different hand movements inside me, essentially in the form of energy movements. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. Like all the hand motions you're doing, I can feel it inside in exactly those ways and patterns.
Excellent.
And what are you exactly working on here other than the obvious area of the belly?
I am working on specifically kind of resetting the vacillation of energy within your adrenals to help combat fatigue and stress.
And it's curious to me that I find Reiki to be so effective, because all my life I've been drawn to modalities that require touch, and I like really hard touch, meaning really deep tissue massage and cupping. So my other forms of treatments that I seek to stay healthy, it is very, very deeply touch oriented. But Reiki is so powerful and it doesn't even require a single touch. So it's kind of interesting how a person who I've always been very inclined towards treatments that use cups or deep tissue or something that is very substantially touch-oriented, but
Physical manipulation.
yeah, but it's so non-invasive, it's so gentle, it's so subtle, Reiki, because essentially there is no touch. You can do an entire treatment without touching anything. And it's interesting how much effect I get from it. Because it's almost like a deep tissue massage on the subtle layers of energy. That's what it really is.
One area in which I differentiate myself from other practitioners is I really delight in specializing in working with the physical aspects of a person's health. A lot of other practitioners are really, really excellent at working with the mental and emotional aspects of health to help contribute to physical relief. But I really delight in working with fatigued muscles, tension in the body, working with direct areas of health imbalance. One really good example is working in the cancer center. I have patients that have been receiving radiation to the mouth or the throat because of the nature of their cancer. And so that interferes with their ability to produce saliva and actually have comfort in their mouth. And so one of the ways in which I'm able to help them in a very direct physical way is increasing saliva production, usually within a couple of minutes. And as Fadi has said, Reiki can sometimes be experienced as a deep tissue massage because I don't have to work my way to those deeper layers. I can directly access them to produce change in effect. In a lot of energy modalities, the blood is directly associated with the energy, and the energy moves the blood moves the energy, and it's a perpetuating cycle. So if I increase the circulation of energy in a particular area or a muscle group, I can actually get fresh blood to circulate in that area, providing increased nutrients to the systems that are there as well as oxygen, contributing to an alleviation of inflammation and pain.
Well, that definitely works with the cancer patients, aiding them and helping them heal.
Absolutely. And pain is one of the most common side effects of any stage of an individual's cancer treatment. If you have cancer, it's pretty likely that you're going to experience pain in some form, either from the nature of the pathology of your disease or from the treatments that actually seek to rein in the spread of that disease. For those who are joining us and watching this demonstration, if you are a practitioner yourself or have received Reiki, you may notice that the way in which I work is a little bit different from other practitioners. As John had said in an earlier segment, there are over 200 recognized styles of Reiki currently being practiced, and they all originated from the one formatted practice by Dr. Asui in the 1920s. They all work the same in that they seek to create energetic shift and change for the benefit of those involved, but the techniques can always vary a little bit themselves. I prefer to work with the meridian system of the body as well as the physical anatomy, Whereas traditionally in the West, you experience Reiki as being synonymous with working with one's chakra system, which comes from the yogic traditions in India. I'm going to come up by your shoulders now. One of the reasons why I enjoy working with the meridian system as opposed to the chakra system is because the vast majority of the meridians in our body, based upon the Chinese medical system, they run through our extremities. So it's possible to work with issues in the center of the body, as well as working with issues with the organs and other aspects of our systems, without infringing on a person's sense of comfort or safety as well. For instance, it's really easy to work on issues of the heart and our emotions just from working with the arms and the shoulders. are you feeling, Fadia?
Good. It's feeling very, very good and relaxed. My stomach doesn't feel as constricted. My heart feels more open.
Good. So I'm beginning to perceive that less energy is being received during the treatment, which often indicates that the treatment based upon the initial intention is more or less complete. So I'm going back through and checking my work with another biosyn scan. The stagnation that was in the liver is gone. It's moving in a controlled and consistent manner. The mild depletion that was being perceived in the kidney meridians has been offset with fresh energy to support those actual processes, which will then alleviate strain on the heart as well, contributing to a more peaceful state of mind and relaxation throughout the body. And the heart feels nice and open. And the stomach is hungry. And at the end of every treatment, it's important to clear and refresh the bioelectric energy field, or the aura, of the client. It's the natural field of energy that is produced by their nervous system. It's a bioelectric current, very similar to the toroidal shape of the Earth's electromagnetic field. Since I've been working intimately inside of it, it's a really nice courtesy to make sure it's all smoothed out again. And so that way there are no sudden reappropriations of energy as they're distributed throughout the body. And this also helps aid with the circulation of energy throughout her system. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Thank you for working with us today.
Yep, I'm very, very happy that you selected me to work on. Pleasure.
Do you have anything you want to share about your experience during the treatment? Any sensations that you felt?
Well, as I said before, I was feeling uptight and tense when I came in because of all the usual stuff, daily life, etc. But now it truly has, as cliched as it sounds, melted away. And I do feel that the thing that you do at the end of smoothing things out, that makes a huge difference. It's almost like you're just dusting off and creating space for the outside world to be reintroduced to the person with a good seal, like a good sweater or something.
Yeah.
So it helps a lot. I feel the difference after you do that.
Good.
I have a question though. When you talk about the aura, for example, do you feel the aura of your clients different before or after the treatment, or how do you perceive the aura of your clients? What is my aura like?
So a lot of people tend to focus on color
Okay.
when inferring about information about the aura. The nature of the biosyn scan is I'm actually reading the field of your energy, your bioelectric energy field, your aura that your nervous system is giving off. So if there's something that is not working perfectly well within your nervous system, it's infringing on the texture of that energetic field. So I actually perceive that information in my hands as a necessary part prior to and after the treatment as well.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is afterwards it feels different then,
Yes.
because it's been worked out.
Yeah.
All right.